Hello guys and welcome to my new video. So today I decided to do a video about 7.2.5 Tomb of Sargeras trinkets and which trinkets are the best for Restoration Druid and most likely the best for a lot of other healers as well. So this is something that I've been getting a lot of questions about, and understandably why. You're doing these new heroic, normal, mythic bosses and you're just wondering, should I be needing on this trinket? A new trinket drops, you're like, is it good? Do I press biz, best in slot, or is it just terrible for me? So hopefully if you are doing this kind of content right now, this video will give you a little better overview of what kind of trinkets you probably want for your healer. So there really isn't that many options in Tomb of Sargeras. I guess there are more options in Tomb of Sargeras than it was in Nighthold. There are mainly 2 to 3 trinkets that you should really actually look into getting, possibly trying it out for yourself and see how the healing goes. All of these trinkets that you get in Tomb of Sargeras, the comparison is going to be an equivalent item level stat stick. So if you have a 925 like Kil'jaeden's trinket, for example, the Deceiver's Grand Design. If you have 925 Deceiver's Grand Design, how does that compare to a 925 stat stick that gives you intellect, mastery, or intellect and haste, or intellect and crit, or intellect and versatility? So this is the comparison that I use and a lot of other people will be using, because stat sticks are one of the best trinkets that you can get for a lot of the classes. So let's just compare them. So Gorath doesn't drop anything. The Market Inquisition drops Barbaric Mindslaver, and actually after doing quite a bit of research about Barbaric Mindslaver, even though it does give intellect as a primary stat and it has a secondary proc ability, your healing effects have a chance to do an additional 266,000 based on which heroic or mythic version you get. This of course more while you're low mana. This trinket actually does, the secondary effect does maximum, from what I've seen, 1 to 2% of your healing, and it's most likely not going to be good enough to beat out a stat stick. It's actually going to be a lot lower than a stat stick. So if you actually get a 915 level Barbaric Mindslaver and you already have like a 910 or even a 900 stat stick, which gives you intellect, haste, or intellect mastery, or whatever, that stat stick is most likely going to be better than Barbaric Mindslaver. So it is not a very good trinket to get unless you get like a really high item level. But a stat stick is going to be better. If you can get your hands on a stat stick rather than Barbaric Mindslaver, you're going to be doing more HPS as a Restoration Druid. Harder challenge drops the Charm of the Rising Tide. If you remain stationary, you gain haste for this kind of amount. This is really not a great trinket, and it most likely is not going to be desirable in any way. You remain stationary. Its stationary effect for Resto Druids is never good, considering that Resto Druid it's best known for movement. So this is something that is not going to be great, and I would definitely not really pick it out unless again you have like something like absurdly high item level. A stat stick is going to be better than this trinket. So with Sisters of the Moon, we actually get Chalice of Moonlight, which is arguably one of the 2 best trinkets you can actually get. It gives you intellect as a primary stat, and your healing spells have a chance to increase your critical strike or haste by 3000 for 12 seconds. This effect can crit during the day or haste during the night. So first of all, it is a proc trinket. Second of all, the proc lasts 12 seconds, which is a lot better what the equivalent used to be, which was the Celestial Map from Star Augur, which was only 8 seconds. The proc, which lasts 12 seconds, is going to be harder to be wasted than something that's shorter. And this seems to proc quite a lot. It gives you intellect. This is going to be equivalent, around equivalent to the same item level as a stat stick. But of course, like I said before, getting a high item level Chalice of Moonlight is going to be a hell of a lot easier than getting a high level item stat stick. Right now, one of the best ways to get stat sticks is from Nether Shards, and that you still have to be very, very lucky to get a high item. So definitely pick up Chalice of Moonlight if you have the option. You can almost say this is one of your biz trinkets to pick up. You should definitely look into using this. And then we actually go to Mistress Sajin, which drops again top 2 trinkets for Restoration Druid. C-star of Depthmother. So this gives you kind of weird versatility stats, but for Resto Druids, versatility is as good as any other stat. Like I said before, the 4 stats that we have, Crit, Haste, Mastery, Versatility, are basically equivalent in value depending on a lot of things, but every stat is very desirable for Resto Druids, and that's one of the advantages of being a Restoration Druid, because you can actually pick up this trinket and say that verse, if I have like 1% of versatility, it's going to be your best stat, which not a lot of healers can say. So therefore you should pick this up. The secondary effect, your Wild Growth has a chance to grant you Ocean Embrace, healing your nearest injured ally within 15 yards. This has an incredibly high proc, so every time you actually use Wild Growth, you have a high chance. I can't remember the exact, it was something around 40%. Almost every second of your Wild Growth is going to have a high chance of proccing this effect. This can actually be very, very high. It's a very weird way of estimating the trinket's potential. It seems that at lower HPS this might do more of your healing, but it is equivalent to being much better than a stat stick, so it can be a lot better than a stat stick. This is arguably going to be your best trinket based on how much HPS you do, a little bit based on how lucky you get with the procs and things like that, but this is definitely something you want to be picking it up with Chalice of the Moonlight if you can. If I had the choice, I'd probably pick up C-star or Depthmother, especially for fights where you always use Wild Growth, where Wild Growth is always have a good amount of healing, and this proc is going to heal. The lowest I've seen this proc doing is 5% of your healing. So the lowest I've seen it from 5 to 8%, even higher. So it can be incredibly good. It does, the minimum amount it does is 5%, which makes this trinket worth picking up. So this is equivalent to being better than a stat stick by a big margin. Definitely this and Chalice of the Moonlight are one of your best options. We don't really have to go through other bosses. The Fallen Avatars, Archive of Fate is really not great. Kil'jaeden's Trinket is another option that you can consider picking it up. It is considered a tank healing trinket, and I'm pretty sure your Holy Paladins are going to be looking after this, just for the pure fact that they are looking at the tank health more than anyone else, and having an additional tool to prevent tank deaths is going to be great. Like I said, this gives you a mastery and marks a friendly target with Guiding Hand, healing them for a specific amount every 2 seconds for 2 minutes. So it puts 2 HOTS on your 2 tanks. When they fall below 35% HP, Guiding Hand is consumed and grants them a shield that prevents 2.1 million damage. It's 2-minute recharge and get 2 charges. So the problem here is Guiding Hand can do 5% of your healing. The second effect, I've seen logs where it does 5% of the healing, but that's mainly because the HOT that you put in on the tanks, the two HOTs that you put on your 2 tanks, is not going to break, as in they're not going to fall below 35% HP, and that HOT kind of keeps on healing and healing and healing throughout the fight for those 2 minutes, and you're gonna get the highest amount of HPS. If you actually put this HOT on your tank and your tank dips below 35% HP, it pops the bubble, the healing is going to be drastically lower. It might prevent a tank death, but it's going to be drastically lower. So it is a very good trinket for 5-man content for Restoration Druids. Mastery is the best stat for 5-man content, and this is going to give you an additional HOTS on your tanks. But for raid healing and for raid healing, mainly Resto Druid healing, I would consider picking up Chalice of the Moonlight or the C-Depth of the C-Star of the Depthmother, and just checking these trinkets out. At the moment, C-Star seems to be a better option for a lot of the fights. You can do a lot of your healing. If you have the choice, make sure to pick up at least one of these trinkets and to test them out. Of course, this video has only been covering Tomb of Sargeras trinket choices. I am not including Dark Moon deck trinket promises, which is a best mana saving tool. I have a video about this available on a couple of weeks ago. You can check it out. If you have mana issues, use promises trinket. Otherwise, try and pick up C-Star, try and pick up Chalice of the Moonlight, and just see how well you do in the in raid healing. And I promise you these are going to be better or equivalent to a stat stick of the same item level. Again, thank you guys for watching this short intro, this short video about trinkets in Tomb of Sargeras. Let me know what you think, let me know what trinkets you have, let me know what you're using right now in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video.